First and foremost, we want this to be something that's very, very practical for whether it's a priest, a religious, seminarian, such that they gain the skills necessary, not so much so that they have a master's in business administration, but rather that they can become conversant and understand how to use some of these principles within the church context. Just to give a little analogy on this, priests, religious sisters, they study a lot so that they can become teachers. We go back to parishes and we then train catechists. Catechists, of course, do not have the same level of instruction and training as perhaps priests and religious sisters do, but a priest and religious sister can become conversant with a catechist. And this is what we want for those members who are in the church who are responsible for the governance and management of the various church entities. And this is why some of the courses that we have are directly titled the governance of the church, so that we understand specifically what is governance, what does the church expect of those people, the bishops, the priests, the sisters, who are in positions of governance. How do they go about doing their job? It's not enough just to attend the meetings, but what are the questions that they should be asking? What should they be looking for? What kind of direction can they give to the people who are underneath them? Then on an even more practical level, the management of a parish, the management of a diocese, the management of a chancery, the management of a religious community. In these classes, we take some of the best practices from around the world and apply them to the different situations that priests and religious sisters, seminarians will face. We learn from the mistakes and sometimes the successes of other people, and we place them at the disposition of the students in the class, using always some of the best practices, the expertise from the secular world, but we apply a theological lens to that so that we always know that we do these things in the same way that Christ, Jesus Christ, is priest, prophet, and king, that kingly aspect that he would be living out if he were in the same place that we are. Of course, in the Catholic Church, we are directed by Canon Law, and therefore there's a regular turning to Canon Law, particularly the patrimonial Canon Law. Of course, we're not going to get a licentiate in Canon Law in any way, but we at least have the necessary exposure to what Canon Law says so that we understand what is the mind of the church with regards to how we go about managing and governing the various entities in the church. Another one of the intensive weeks focuses on finance, accounting, strategic planning, and budgeting, the numbers of the church. Oftentimes, in my experience, priests and religious, they like to shy away from numbers, and that's okay. And we don't have to be experts in accounting or finance, but we do have to be conversant and understand, how do we go about making financial statements? Why do we make financial statements? How do we interpret financial statements? Once we have financial statements, how do we go about making decisions based upon the information that those statements communicate to us? By looking at a financial statement, we can understand lots of things that are going on in the parish, in the diocese, in the religious community, in the school, whatever the entity might be. And that information helps us to make decisions going forward to make sure that we are furthering the mission of Jesus Christ for that particular entity. One of the other intensive weeks that we have is with regards to project management and fundraising. With project management, of course, many times in the church, we have grand and great ideas for things that we want to do. But because we're typically not very good at managing those projects, they fall through the cracks. We don't actually complete them. We talked about it, but we never actually got it done. There are wonderful strategic tips, practical tactics that we can take to make sure that when we begin a project, even something that takes several years, we can see it to completion. The fundraising course is not just how do we ask people for money, but there's a spirituality involved in it, so that we literally help people save their souls through the fundraising efforts that we have for the parish, for the diocese, for the religious community, for the school, whatever the charitable organization might be. We as priests and religious should not be afraid of fundraising. Jesus spoke about money many, many times in the Gospels because money is something that all of us have. And therefore, if Jesus was talking about money a lot, we should be talking about money a lot. If the root of all evil is the love of money, and we're trying to help people to save their souls, then we should be engaging people in that conversation. That's primarily done through the fundraising class. The communications class that we have addresses this particular need with strategies and tactics for how do we go about communicating the strategic vision, the financial planning, the financials, all of the various aspects that are taking place, whatever the entity within the church might be. The other classes that we have in one of the other semesters relate to the organizational design and people management. And this oftentimes can be the most difficult thing, is organizing and managing people to do a particular task, a particular project, to fulfill a particular vision. And so that particular class speaks about strategies and tactics that we can take at every level to go about managing people, from hiring people to managing them on a day-to-day basis. Unfortunately, sometimes we do have to fire people. How do we go about doing that in the process and do that in a just and charitable way? Next, the Catholic Church has a lot of land all around the world, lots of real estate. And so the real estate management class gives ideas and various, again, strategies and tactics to help us with how to utilize the land, one of the most precious assets that we have, to its fullest capacity, again, for the fulfillment of the mission of the evangelization and salvation of souls. One of the most popular classes that we have is the crisis management class, because no matter where we're at any level of the church, a crisis will arise at some point. How do we handle this in such a way that we show good leadership, we keep the people informed and calm so that they understand that the leadership is doing the best they can and they're on top of the situation, and they lead us like good shepherds to a safer place. One of the last things that we do at the program of church management is called the Capstone. And this is something that at the beginning of your studies, there'll be a conversation that takes place about what's a particular problem and issue in your parish, in your diocese, in your religious community that you would like to solve. And therefore, over the course of the year, as you learn about the various pieces of good church governance and management, you can apply those particular things to your capstone project. We have had students in the past where the bishop who sent the priest, the seminarian, or the religious sister said, I want your capstone project to solve this particular problem. And so over the course of the year, they learned how to do that and were then able to give a proposal to their bishop at the end of the class. So I want to talk about the duration. There's basically two parts to it. There are 2 terms, 2 semesters. Also included are what we call 4 intensive weeks. So the terms have classes every Wednesday. During the intensive weeks, we have class all day, every day, Monday through Friday, where we cover various topics. It is imperative for those who sign up for the full program that they be available for all of the intensive weeks and then during the terms as well. And this is why it's possible when signing up for the program of church management to participate in the combined program, whereby we not only receive the certificate from the program of church management, but the courses that we take through the program of church management at Santa Croce for those students at Santa Croce can be used as credits for licenses for some of the other disciplines. The cost, of course, we always have to be upfront and transparent about this. For the full program, we charge 3,000 euros. Nonetheless, for those who are in need, there are scholarships available, and there's information about that on our website.